Hello everyone and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here and today is Fun Draw Friday. And I thought I would draw one of my favorite villains, especially from the series Age of Apocalypse. I thought I would draw Apocalypse from the Marvel X-Men comics. And we're just going to do kind of like a portrait again. If I drew the whole body, probably be a long video, but we're going to do like a profile view. So this will be a chance for you to kind of see how you can build up a profile as well. So I have my head, right? Everything's going to kind of come off the side here. So I'm just going to kind of draw a line down through here. And that'll kind of be my head reference, right? And then right through here. So I have my forehead. So I'm going to come down this way and kind of turn down. And then I want to kind of give him a brow right here, right? And just like with a typical brow, we have that kind of like tuck in part that kind of splits and then comes out into another area. Okay, so we kind of have like this divot, if you will, in the brow. So I can kind of get rid of this line right in here. Okay, the rest of it I can kind of pull out. And then I want to kind of think about, like the face that he's making. It's probably going to be more of like a sinister look. So I want to kind of put a tiny fold in the nose and just kind of draw that out and then come in and draw the actual nose right along here. So I can clean up inside of here and probably we could round that a little bit more. Okay, and once I have this attached to the face, I can kind of put like a slight turn in right here. And then the rest is just kind of getting that like nostril, so I can kind of thicken up. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. A line right here. And kind of build up what I want the nose and the nostril to look like. Okay, so now I have that part of the face done. Then I can come down and think now, like, how do I want the face to be shaped? Like, I don't want like a straight line. So I'm going to put kind of like a curve to it. Now, before I do any solid lines, I want to kind of shape the mouth first. Again, I want them to have a kind of sinister look to it. And he has these almost like blue cybernetics that kind of act as his lips on his face. So I'm just going to clean up some of that sketchiness right here. And then right in here, we can determine, what kind of thickness that we want. And just kind of play off the shape here. And run that back, right? But now, like I said, I want them to have kind of almost like an evil grin. So I'm going to kind of turn the shape out some more that way. And then adjust the space between right there. So I'm going to kind of come off the edge here and go down. and kind of take that out. Let's come down a little bit more. I'm going to come out this way. And again, make that shape for his lips. Maybe thicken that up a little bit. Let me just clean up inside of here. Okay, so we can kind of thicken that up. And I can kind of sharpen the turn here. And just bring that up to the face. So I can clean that out, and let's just erase. So now it looks like we kind of have like our mouth is slightly open. So an easy fix for that for the teeth is we can just bring in, let's come out just a little bit more. We can bring it in, and to show some difference, we can have it kind of connect right there. And then instead of just doing like a cartoon and just, drawing, I can come in and add some like subtle line work. For my teeth. And then again, thinking about certain areas to fill in black later. I can leave that like that for now. Okay. Then we're going to have this part here on the chin where we're going to have like a slight curve. And then the rest of it's just going to come down with the face, right? So even like right here, I can really form the chin. Kind of like that. But then we have Apocalypse's armor that's going to start getting in our way. So we have to think about that too. So let's just go ahead and just kind of lightly sketch out the armor. So we want it to kind of, it's not really straight, it kind of curves back in a way. So it's like he has this really big chest, but the head size is not really proportional to that. Let's bring that down to like right there. Okay. And then we can have like, if this is that collar piece on the armor, that's going to kind of come up, and again that'll just get filled in that way. And now I can come in and kind of complete the back of the head, right? So I can just take this and run it back, and since Apocalypse has no hair, we can kind of just roughly shape it like a skull, and then just have that go back for our neck right here. So now let's see comparison to the head. That's about right. So now I can clean up everything inside of there. And then let's see, let's take this, kind of round it, comes in, let's go about right here. So let's adjust our collar piece. And we're going to round this just a little bit more. So I don't want it to curve back too much. So let's just kind of straighten that out. We'll take that back, and we'll build our armor up that way. Okay. So where that comes down, we now have kind of our chest armor right here. And what that does is it kind of cuts in, to the neck plating, and then it goes back out again. So like from here I can get my shoulder armor, and we can just build up the basic shape of that. Have that come out. And curve that back. Okay, and then running off that edge here, we can turn that back into that. And again, just kind of have that run back that way. And then what we'll do is, again, since we're just doing kind of a portrait, we'll have like a cutoff point. And we'll just build our chest out that way. Okay, so now we have a basic foundation. Now we can come in and start working other features, like on his head he's got almost like a black widow's peak, if you will, kind of like Mr. Sinister does, except his is not hair, it's just a portion of his head in the way it's designed. So we can kind of take that back like that. And then right here on the pieces here, we want to kind of have that attachment that he has with the kind of the lip part. It kind of runs back into like a metallic piece. So I'm just going to kind of make something up so it kind of connect right there. And then what happens is down underneath the jaw, that's where we get kind of the rest of our jaw design is right in there. And then the rest of this is all part of the back of the head, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to come in and give him some eyes. Now I'm going to erase this back because I want this to curve just a little bit more that way. Okay, and again I can give him a shape to the eye, probably not bring it out quite as far. We'll cut that back to there. And what I really want though is I want his eyes to really kind of sink into the folds we have going here. So I'm going to use this to help me build a shape. He doesn't really have pupils. So we can put like a fold in here and help define that aspect of his eye. Let's only pull this out some. Like right there. And then we can kind of bring this out some more. So it looks more like a lid for the eyes. And again, just adding in a little tiny details here and there. Now I'm not doing too much more as far as um, you know, the work of detail, because we're going to ink this picture. So we want to come down about here and kind of start the other shoulder, be kind of visible, and kind of turn it that way. And that's how we can get kind of like that other chest piece in there, like that. Okay. So now that I have a basic outline, and now what most comic artists will do is, because you gotta remember there's a process to it, right? They're gonna go in and they're just gonna shade and do whatever. I'm going to just go ahead and jump into the ink because I have a general idea of what I want that ink to look like. All right, so I'm going to switch to an ink pen. You can get, this is just a Sharpie pen, it's just a fine tip. You can use any kind of ink brush that you have. That's completely up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of start down here in the armor. Again, I'm going to kind of change my line weight a little bit. Now, everything I'm doing right now in pen, if you don't have an ink pen, you can still do this in pencil. You just have to kind of color it in black. But certain areas, like on the curve, I'm going to kind of thicken up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just go around the image. Now these spots that I know are going to be filled in, I'm going to go ahead and darken that up and just fill that in nice and solid. And again, just because we have a little bit of overlap with this collar, we're going to have some thickness. On the collar as it is anyway. So what I'm doing is just kind of refining that shape that I want. First, like, you know, I could connect this entire thing going back, but you don't have to. Sometimes you can break lines up, but me, I'm going to keep it solid, but I'm going to make it really thick. Right through here. And we'll just keep that going. All the way to the back. Now, if you are using an ink pen, you're not sure that you can handle it and keep things straight where you need it, then I would suggest maybe doing it in pencil first, and then you can go over it with an ink pen or ink brush, whatever you have on you. So like right here in this corner, I know I'm going to want that to kind of curve in. And take that back. So again, I'm just going to kind of use this to kind of ink in the areas that I know, or at least the wider parts. So we're just going to kind of take that back. And you could just use solid lines, but the thing with these Sharpie pens is they like to kind of, they go dry on you in like a single stroke. So you kind of have to almost color your work in while you're going. So now here's an example of what I mean by kind of taking what I have, right? I have the outline of this armor piece here. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start thinking about the darkest areas of, reflection on the metal. And piece those things in where I think they would, fit the best. What's going to make it stand out and look like armor. Okay, so I'm going to run that down into there like that. Let's get a few lines. Going right here. And have that kind of just curve out and come back in. And we just make that nice and solid. Okay, so we just fill that in there and get in a few extra lines just for that little bit of extra added detail, right? Okay, so I want this to kind of extend out and it's going to come back. Now that kind of come this way. And again, we just fill that in. Now, if you have like a marker, like a Sharpie that'll match this ink color, it'd probably go by a little bit faster because, like I said, this is a really thin tip, so it takes a little bit longer to fill in. So I may not go completely solid with it, just enough to fill it in so you get the gist of what it is that you need to do to make it look like the end result. Let's continue to go around. And we can just fill that in that way, right? Now, some other things to think about too is like how to give it an edge, right? So like I can come off of here and come down and put little changes and divots in certain areas so that it gives me an illusion that there is a kind of flat, bent over area, right? I could take that from there and again just try to define the armor. Determine like how much thickness do I want, where I want openings for glares and things like that. So like I could take this down to here. I don't want to do like a big huge solid black area. So like I could kind of break it up a little bit and have some, smaller openings where some reflective light may have come in. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go in there and just kind of fill that in. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a large area to fill in black. And like I said, if I had a bigger ink pen nub, honestly just fill it in that way. Because like if I go and right now I have this regular black ink pen, right? If I wanted to take that and fill that in, here on the camera, it looks the same, right? The only difference is going to be, though, is the ink in an ink pen tends to be way more shiny. So if I was to show this to somebody in real time, like real life, it would have a very purpley kind of reflection to it. So that's why I kind of avoid using it. So I would stick with just whichever one you're using. You can use an ink pen. It's just going to be very, like I said, shiny. So what I would do is just stick with the one for the purpose of this video, though, because it's not really showing up that way. The shininess, I'm just going to fill it in with this ink pen to save my other Sharpie pen from running out too fast on these large areas. Like I said, you could use a black marker, a Sharpie, whatever you wanted. And I'll save the Sharpie pen for more of the smaller, refined areas where it's just more line work than anything else. Like I said, that looks nice and solid and dark on the camera, but here in front of my eyes, it's not black. It's kind of a purpley color. So I'm just going to switch back here, and we're going to kind of thicken this up to a point. I want to kind of get a reflective base here. Kind of make this kind of almost like a keyhole shape. Almost. Don't want it to be that noticeable. Okay, so we'll take that down and we'll curve it in. Don't want too much, so it doesn't have to be a huge thick thing right there. And I can just fill that in. All right, and then let's add in a few kind of like they're almost like hatching lines. Right back there in the back. And then I'm going to move back up here to the front. Again, just to kind of provide some breakup. Just kind of add that in right there. Okay. And again, kind of coming back to what I was saying before with giving that illusion of an edge, we can continue down with that. And then once I reach a certain point, you know, we may want to do another break-in right here. Kind of use that edge and just come down. And again, we'll just fill in that large area there. And usually with armor, I mean, it's hard to really place that in there. All right, so I have this really thin line going from here, so I'm going to go back over it again just so it doesn't fade too much. Okay, and then down in here we can do some hatching lines that kind of go all the way down. And again, just to a point. We don't have to go crazy with it or anything. Okay, and then that kind of can come back this way. We could put almost like a kink or a nick in the armor. Like right in there. Okay. And again, just for some breakup, we'll add a little bit right in there. Okay. So again, that takes care of that one piece of the armor. So we would have to, you know, continually plan how we want that to go. Now, I like to have thick edges on the outside of my drawings. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to thicken up the outside area. Right in there, like that. And then like places like this where I'm going to kind of come under the lip here. You know, I can choose to add a shadow right inside of there. And bring that down. And kind of thicken it a little bit. Like that. Just to have some breakup in there, we could put a couple lines in there. Maybe a small dot or something right there. Okay. And then again, something that's almost like a hatch. Bring that out. And then we can kind of come under the lip. And again, just for some breakup so it's not so, clean. In those areas, we can add some slight shadow thickness in there. Just like that. Okay, I want to bring this down a little bit more. Again, just put some random lines and come down to my jaw like that. Okay, and again, just changing the line weights, like especially get, like I said, these curve areas. I can thicken those up. Like that. Okay, I'm going to come around the outside of the lip here. Again, just thicken up the outside edge. And have it come back to thick to thin. Right inside of here. I kind of take that back, and I know this whole inside area, right inside of here, we can just fill that in black since we know that's just going to be a big shadow. Like that. And you can see how that's kind of starting to give it more life, I guess you would say would be the best word to describe it. And just bring it out a little bit more. Again, just kind of changing the line weight right here. A little bit more thickness on the curve. And have that come out that way. Okay, now same thing with the teeth. I'm going to just thicken this outside area just because that's what I like to do. Okay, then I'll just kind of come in here and go over my teeth lines like that. Okay, and then maybe like right here by the lip, kind of thicken that at an angle like that, just to give us that little bit of an overlay. Again, just kind of change thickness and line weight at the curves. Your choice though, your choice. Alright, when we come out here to the upper lip, right inside there. Again, I'm going to take that down. Change the thickness and the line weight on the curve. Now I'm going to give this a little bit more shadow on the top. Right inside there. Okay, and we're going to get to this back section here in a little bit. Okay, let's come out here and we're going to thicken up again the outside edge. Take that in. And come out. Okay, so like right in here. Thicken up the shadow on the nose. And just have that all be connected right in there. And then kind of bring it out a little bit more right in there. Okay. And we can add a little bit more of a curve right there in the nose that'll allow us to curve right here. Again, I'm just thickening up the outside edges. Okay, now down here under the brow, and really to make the eyes stand out, we're going to thicken up around the eye. Take it around. Kind of that flow into the corner right there. Just kind of go over our lines that we already have. Okay. And now, get that top almost eyelid shape. Right in there. Okay. So now we're going to start building back into our head. So we could add a few more, little details in there. And then places like this is where we're going to get real dark with a lot of black. So I'm just going to kind of outline it. Just right in there. But the thing you want to think about now is, multiple light sources where things are going to come in and hit at different areas. So I don't want to do the whole head black, right? So I am going to go ahead and keep the thickness for the outside part of the head. Alright, so I can just fill that in like that. Just run that down to the neck. And now is where I want to start, thinking about shadow placement. Alright, so I know this whole top area here, we're going to kind of fill in black, so I'm just going to go around that and lay some shadow into it. Okay, same thing down in here. Going to kind of lean that in and just have some separation. I'm not going to connect those two lines. I'm just going to leave them out. And then again, I want to kind of lean into the shadow here. Have that come around. And kind of close off there. So that'll take care of like that piece. But watch, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here on this top part. Okay, I want to kind of have a edge rim line here. So I'm going to keep it as close to the edge as I can. Okay. Now as I go back, I'm going to expose more of the head. And because of the way the light would hit it, I don't want to do it like sharp. We want to kind of like almost S curve and round it. Kind of like that. And then in certain places, right in here, like here towards the front, I could put in a little curve here. And then what I can do is have, a little bit of hatch line work. Just a little bit of hatching there. But I can leave almost the rest of it entirely exposed. So I can come around this way. Just have that run. And then again, just to kind of show like a little bit of like head muscle, we can break it up right in here. Again, we could have a tiny bit of hatching. Again, just to show that separation. And then maybe have a little bit exposed right there. Okay, so now the rest of it, I'm just going to fill right in. So a lot of this area is just going to be black. Again, if you had that marker or Sharpie that's just matching what you're doing with your ink, then use that to fill all of this in. Okay, so I can just continue to use this pen. I'm going to kind of start up here at the top and then kind of meet it in the middle down there at the bottom. That way I'm not constantly going back over. I can keep everything on the one side over there. Okay, so just keep working your way around, fill it in. Like I said, if you have a marker, it'll go by much faster. I'm trying to push the pace on it as much as I can without, killing the overall image. I don't want any, super white areas exposed. So I want to make sure that I really fill it in. That's where the benefit of that marker is going to come in if you have a Sharpie. Right? So you can start to see, like up here at the top, starting to get kind of shiny. That's that part I was telling you about where the difference in my ink pen and my Sharpie pen would be noticeable, not on camera. It's giving that reflection off of my lamplight. So like I said, that's making that really shiny. So when I move it out of the light, it's not as noticeable. But since that's the path we're on, that is the one that I'm choosing to stick with. And that's the thing with art, you just gotta kind of work with what you got. I probably just need to go out and make a art supply run. So, sorry, some of these bigger areas are going to be more time consuming. Okay, so again, just really trying to fill it in just so it's not too exposed with the white in the middle. I want to make sure it's nice and dark. So if I rush too much, it's just going to look like scribble, scrabble, scratch going on in here. So for those of you that, maybe don't have the patience for longer videos, I mean, I apologize, but I pride this channel on being a art tutorial step-by-step thing that you can see my process and learn from it, and do and implement your own things, but just also to understand that good art takes time. There's no rushing it, right? Like if you're somebody who's drawing for the comic book industry, you're gonna have to speed it up, but that speed's gonna come from the more and more practice that you get from it, right? So that's why if anybody's ever wondered, well, can you make a video on how do I become faster or draw faster? There's really no secret to it. It's just the more you practice and the more you're used to it, the faster you'll start seeing yourself being able to knock stuff out. But it's a learning process. You can't rush it. It's not something you're gonna learn, in a day, right? You gotta have the patience to do some of this stuff. Okay. Now, some of these areas that are out here that are more light exposed won't have as much heavy shadow on it. Now again, I'm going to thicken up the outside edge just because that's something that I like to do. Okay, but some things to think about is like where you could fit in some of that comic book shading still to make it, interesting. So again, I can kind of take certain chunks and just fill those in, right? And then just have, I'll probably thicken this back line. Just kind of pick little hatching points to have exposed. And even like down in here, like I don't have to fill in this whole thing, black. I can just come in and hit up those spots to just cause some breakup so it's not just flat in there. Right, so see how that just kind of fills that in. And I can move down to, this chest area. And just kind of thicken that up. And then just right down in here, I don't have to have it connecting, right? I could just come in here and kind of fill in a gap. Right, and then I can just have, some overall hatching lines. And maybe just to kind of show the darkness a little bit, I can reverse hatch and have a cross hatching section going instead. Again, to just kind of showcase the armor. Okay. Okay, so now we can move down to the lower portion. Again, like I said, we don't have to have it connected from here to here. We can have a gap, right? So the next thing I want to do is kind of think about the reflection on the armor. Again, I'm just kind of thickening up the edge down here at the bottom. If I stop right here and then break it up, and I can have that come back, and then we can kind of build a shadow for the armor where some like reflective spots would be. To kind of build that up in there. We can extend that out. And just kind of build that up from there. I could probably put another reflection right here. And then just really thicken up the armor right here, just kind of show that overlap, that it's over the top. Of that portion of the chest. And then just take that down into here, like that. Kind of come down in that corner. can just fill that in right there. Kind of bring that around that way. Okay. And then again, just fill in that large portion from there. So again, just use your marker, or if you have a thicker pen. If not, and you just like me, you just kind of have an ink pen or just something that's fine tip. You're just gonna have to take that time to go in there and just really fill all that area in. And again, just from studying, like you can go into comic books and look at characters with metal on them, like Colossus or Doctor Doom. Anybody who's just usually wearing metal, Iron Man, and just see how they kind of use their reflections on their armor, like what different shapes are pretty predominant when they go. So like since he's got more Apocalypse, he's got more of like a rounded chest armor, so it's more rounded in its design. So I'll just continue to fill that in. And usually like an ink pen brush is the best, because you can just kind of do the strokes and literally just paint it in there. I just kind of ran out of that stuff and haven't really had the chance to go to a store and resupply and get some of those things. I will do it eventually so that I'm always fully prepared and some of the videos won't take as long. So again, we'll just continue to fill in. Just so it's nice and solid. And the other reason it's not a good idea to do, with an ink pen, I would say, if you're going to use like one like this, these little Bic ones, just buy a whole pack. Just because, it can run and burn through your ink, but you can get a good amount of them for pretty cheap. So I'm just going to continue on back. Doing my best to just kind of fill it in. While I'm doing that, if you have never heard of Apocalypse, check him out in the comic books. Like I said, he's one of my favorite villains. I would say, once you see like his origin comic, look that one up. And then also, some of his early issues are fine if you're like a purist, you want to start that way. But the one that just really made him stand out to me was when they kind of went really dark with it and did the whole Age of Apocalypse saga. It was really cool just to see, what that alternate reality or world would look like. Okay. I am going to come in here and we're going to do some more shadow for the armor. Just kind of, let's angle that down some more. And we'll just take that back. Right, and then I can come up here. Again, get some more of that kind of roundedness to it. And we can just take that right down into there like that. Again, I could put like another reflection in here. And get a little bit of some hatching in here. And just come through. And fill that in as well. So you can see it's kind of like an aesthetic thing, like how much do I want to leave left open or exposed. So there's like a huge white gap in there and don't want to really leave it, you know, closed off like that. Okay, so we have that nice and filled in. And just work our way all the way back. And we're almost done. We just have to finish up, you know, our shoulder up over here. So let's just fill in that gap. Right in there. And then what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to thicken this part up just a little, like that. Okay. So again, we're going to kind of use that same mentality for this last part. So we want to kind of take care of that edge. And then I can kind of thicken up the bottom portion of that. And just drive that down right into there. And then like right in here, because we just want to cut off, have a cutoff point. So I'm just going to kind of thicken off the edge right here. Again, just because I like that outside to be thicker. Okay, and then again, I can kind of run that out. And kind of thicken it on the curve a little bit. Just changing the line weights. All the way to the corner. Okay, and then same thing here. Just Just kind of thicken up the outside edge. Just like that. Okay. Now, last thing I want to do is just keep that thickness here. Like that. And then I want to fill in some of the armor here. So let's kind of stretch that down. I'm going to take that up close to the armor here. And then as I get up here towards the top, you can kind of almost straight edge it back. Put a curve to it and just go back that way. Make that a little bit more solid. Just kind of take that back. And again, add in some roundness to it. Let's kind of go this way. We're just going to fill all that in anyway, so that's okay that that curved up like that. Okay, and I could put like a big reflection right here. And then maybe a smaller one right in there. And then it's just a simple task of filling that in as well. Okay. So while I finish that up, I mean, that's pretty much going to do it. I really want to thank everybody for watching and who hung in there and who are trying to learn from these things. I know the videos are long, but again, most videos that you go to watch are either step by step, but they're just really short and not detailed, or you find the really detailed ones and they're just time lapsed and people are just talking and explaining instead of like seeing what's actually going on step by step. So I'm probably, you know, never going to move away from that because, like I said, I like to treat it like, you know, teaching, and you actually seeing the process and how long it takes. It's not like a short little 10-minute, you know, thing. And yes, there are people out there who can draw faster than I can, and that's okay. I'm not sitting here trying to compete with them. I'm here for you and what you want to learn. We are up to 339 the last I checked, and I really do appreciate all the new subscribers as well as the old ones who are still here hanging out and watching the processes. What I do want though is, I mean, not only does it helps the channel, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about helping you all. If you want me to teach or talk about something specific, leave comments down in the comment section. I can't guide this channel to your wants and needs if I don't know what you want and what you need. So yeah, do me a favor. If you're new to the channel or you're returning because you've been subscribed, start chatting with me. I always respond to everyone who leaves a comment every single time. If you want to see something or just tell me how I did, or you want me to teach you a certain thing in another video, whether it's Tiny Tuesdays, ideas for Fun Draw Fridays, just let me know down in the comments, alright? But like I said, if you are new and you like this long form and learning step by step how to do something, go ahead and think about subscribing. Come back. Leave a comment, like, share yourself. Welcome you into the Wicked Art community. And I did put up a poll about 3D stuff, and only 3 people voted, so I mean, I'm really not a good judge of whether I should do it or not, but I probably will. But just understand that that takes time to do, so those videos will come out sparingly as I finish up a project. So I just ask that if you were one of the ones that voted for me to do that, to just please be patient. They will come out. Now, the last step I'm going to do is I want to get rid of my sketchy pencil lines. So I'm just going to kind of go around and erase out any of those lines that might still be there. That's a nice clean ink image, and that is going to do it for Fun Draw Friday. Again, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had fun. Thanks for hanging in there and sticking with it. Until next time, remember to keep on sketching, and I will see you in the next one, all right? Bye.